Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree of Space Command, also Mark Zicree of Mr. Sci-Fi, and for this commentary it's going to be Mark Zicree, producer and writer of Sliders. So, now first of all, as you know, we have a Kickstarter campaign going to raise money to shoot the rest of our second 2-hour story, Space Command Forgiveness, and we're also cranking on visual effects and post on our 2-hour pilot. We're going to be releasing a DVD of the first hour, DVD and Blu-ray of the first hour with tons of extras very, very soon. And lots is happening. The comic book is being drawn, the graphic novel. We're getting ready to record the radio play, etc., etc. Tons of cool stuff. I'm going to be doing an update very soon about all of this stuff. But for now, I wanted to talk about... for now, I wanted to talk about... the OA, which I've just watched the first 2 seasons of, and this is particularly germane as I am, the writer and producer of Sliders. Now, basically, where to start? I'm gonna try not to spoil things, but the one thing I do have to mention is that this is a show about parallel dimensions. It's exploring the afterlife, parallel dimensions, alternative timelines, all that stuff. So. And of course in Sliders was about characters jumping to parallel dimensions, parallel Earths, different history lines. Great fun. And one of the greatest funs about doing that is that you can have your actors play alternate versions of themselves. And they can sometimes be very different versions of themselves. So for instance, I wrote a Sliders episode called World Killer, where our hero Quinn comes to an alternate Earth where a duplicate of him slid everyone else off Earth and just has been assuming that he killed everyone on Earth. He disintegrated everyone on Earth. So it was a very fun episode, and it allowed our hero, Jerry O'Connell, to play a different version of himself that was far less responsible. And so he didn't have to have the hero mantle. He could play a variant character. So the OA has, now first of all, parallel dimensions, the whole notion of parallel dimensions and alternate timelines. Science fiction has certain subgenres, and parallel universes is one of them. Certainly in Star Trek with the mirror universe, where you have evil versions of our characters and of the Federation, that's very much an example of that. I think the first writer to write about parallel universes was, I believe it was Murray Leinster, back in the 30s. I'll look that up and get the details, but it very quickly became something that a lot of writers wanted to play with. And it's similar in that way to time travel, that whole notion of, if I had taken this action instead of the action I did, what would the ramifications have been? What would the world be? So you constantly have alternative histories like Fatherland, where the Nazis won World War II, or The Man in the High Castle. And it's really fun to see these fictional variations play out. So the OA. It's funny, because some of the shows I've been watching lately are very predictable. Like a lot of the Twilight Zone stories that Jordan Peele is doing are predictable, and you say, okay, I know exactly where this is going to go, and it does, and it's like, oh, ho-hum. The thing with the OA is you can't tell where it's going to go because it's really crazy, really loopy. Now Britt Marling and her partner, Britt Marling is a very talented actress, writer, producer, and she has a very interesting backstory, which is that she got very tired of being cast as sort of the blonde girl in the bikini running from the serial killer. These were not rewarding roles, and so she decided to create her own lead role in her own movie and show what she could do. So she wrote and starred in a very, very good film called Another Earth, in which suddenly a copy of the Earth appears in the sky. And the question is, are there duplicates of us on that Earth, and do they have different lives from us? And it was a very fun, very well-made film. I really liked it. And so clearly parallel dimensions, parallel choices have always been of interest to her. So she and her partner's a writer, producer, director, they decided to come up with the OA. And for a long time, they don't say what OA stands for. And so it sounds like the OC. It's like, is this a suburb of Los Angeles? We don't know. But it's not. It's basically, I won't tip it simply, other than to say that this deals with the afterlife and the whole notion of angels and demons and so forth, and alternative Earths, parallel dimensions. I like the show, but it is very wacky, and it gets increasingly wacky as it goes on. The cast is very, very good. I like many of the actors in it. The roles are very different from each other, so you don't get confused as to who's who. And Jason Isaacs, who many of you know from Harry Potter and also from Star Trek Discovery, the first season, is a very, very good British actor. He often plays Americans, and his American accent is fine, it's perfect. And so he's sort of the bad guy in the OA, and sort of a research doctor, research psychiatrist, all of this stuff. And what he's doing is extreme, to say the least. But it also deals with different timelines where, or different time frames, where there's a framing device of Britt Marling telling the story to a group of young people and their teacher, and then we flash back to that story, and then they become integral to the ongoing story. And the cast, again, is very, very good. There's an actor playing a transgender teenager, and she's very, very good. She, he, I mean, I think the actress is female, and the character is referred to as he, but then there's an alternate version that seems not to be trans. So it's fun. It gets into a lot of issues and but without hitting it over the head. And so I enjoyed it. It was really, really, and then the first season ends on a cliffhanger, and then the second season sort of pays that off, and we get to see an alternative version of reality with a lot of riffs, and we're going between different parallel worlds. And then the cliffhanger for the second season, which I won't spoil, except to say that if you've seen The Twilight Zone: A World of Difference with Howard Duff, you'll probably recognize the fingerprints of where this notion came from. If they get a third season, it's going to be, well, where are they going to go now with this one? Pretty wacky. But I guess what I can say about the OA is a lot of people will just kind of bail on it because they'll say, what the hell, what's going on? What is this cosmology? What are the rules here? And again, as we talked about earlier with Twilight Zone, with Richard Matheson's great rule of writing for Twilight Zone was you put one drop of fantasy in, and then you play off everything else as realistically as possible. Well, the OA is very much not doing that. I mean, it's like suddenly there's an octopus who talks and all this weird stuff. It's like, what the hell? And, but it's well produced, it's inventive, it's imaginative. I haven't seen this story before, in this permutation. So it's in a tradition of science fiction and the genre, but it's clearly trying to do something more. The challenge is, like many shows that start with a mystery, if you're not careful, the twists and turns of the plot, just the puzzle box aspects, and of course J.J. Abrams is a big proponent of the puzzle box, and we see that in Westworld too. The challenge, the danger is that you start with well-delineated characters that you care about, and then as they keep trying to fool your expectations, they just start twisting and turning the plot and moving the characters around to serve the plot, and the danger is you just get twisted and turned and this and that until you lose who the characters are, and they lose who they are. And that's sort of what happens with the OA, though I still like the characters, I still find them interesting. And then of course in Game of Thrones, that was the problem, I think, with the ending as well. So in terms of the characters doing things they would never do if they were following the character line that had been established. So so my bottom line with the OA, in conclusion, my bottom line with the OA is, if you enjoy fun shows with fun casts where they really seem to care about what they're doing, and you're rather forgiving of extreme choices, you'll like the show. You'll have fun with it, and we'll see if they get a third season. I'd be very interested to see what that season is going to be like. And another good thing I should say is that each season of the OA is radically different from the previous season, so they're not beating a dead horse, and that's very good too. So basically, I like Britt Marling. I think her work is flawed, but I think it's at least interesting, and I admire. And she's clearly trying to do things that are different and not just following the same old, same old. So good for her, good for Netflix, and we'll see where it leads. Now, additionally, on the Space Command front, all of that, as I said, I'm going to be doing an update. If you want to buy Space Command shares at $7,500 each, where you get a percentage of my producer's net profits, call me 323-363-1259, or email me at markzickery@gmail.com. You can check out our Kickstarter campaign. There'll be a link listed below this video, and subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi. You can find out what we're up to on an ongoing basis. And that's about it for now. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos very soon. Lots to catch up on, lots to talk about. But for now, that's it. Watching TV, seeing what I think, watching movies, and also making TV and movies at the same time. And there's a book I'm supposed to be writing as well. So many announcements to come. Talk soon, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.